Hello, welcome to News Central Television. Here on News Now with me, Joe Hanson. Let's take a look at the top stories for this hour. Organisers insist no going back on October 1st hunger protest. World Bank okays $1.57 billion loan for Nigeria. Manhunt after 18 people killed in South Africa mass shooting. Stay with us here to get the details coming up shortly. Let's begin by telling you that organisers of the October 1 protest against hardship in the country have insisted they would proceed with the showdown despite kicks by the federal government and warning by the Nigerian police force. A former presidential candidate and activist who is one of the leaders of the planned October 1 protest, Omoyele Sowore, gave an update on his social media platform X on Monday, insisting on the action and saying it would be held across the country. According to Sowore, the nationwide protest will be held at Eagle Square, Abuja, and will be peaceful. The activist further said hunger pangs have spread across the country, adding that Nigerians needed to troop out nationwide in protest. In Lagos, the protest organizers plan to commence their march at the Ikeja underbridge at 7:30 a.m. Similarly, a coalition of groups have announced the declaration of October 1, 2024 as the National Day of Survival to protest the severe hunger and economic hardship faced by Nigerians. In a statement, the groups, which include Youth Rights Campaign, Movement for Fundamental Change, Joint Action Front, Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, and Yoruba Revolutionary Movement, urge the Nigerian people, including workers, students, youth, the unemployed, traders, and the impoverished, to participate in peaceful protests. The declaration also aims to rally support for the immediate and unconditional release of all EndSARS and End Bad Governance protesters currently detained, along with journalists, activists, and others who have faced state repression. The groups called on Nigerians to unite in their demands for justice and freedom on this significant day, asserting that the current socio-economic landscape necessitates urgent action and collective voice against the government's policies. Top government officials in Nigeria have expressed optimism over the future of the country, saying that they are hopeful Nigeria will be better. This was as they converged on the National Christian Center in Abuja as part of activities for Nigeria's 64th Independence Anniversary celebration. News Central's Joshua Imarayi reports.
The interdenominational service in commemoration of Nigeria's 64th Independence Anniversary celebration holding in the nation's capital, Abuja. In attendance were past leaders, senior government officials and officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces and Paramilitary Corps. In their addresses, officials present expressed optimism over the country's future.
This mandate is for 4 years. We have done only 1 year and is it 4 months? There is hope. I have a dream too, that this country, and that's what is going to be the most blessed, the most successful, the most prosperous in Africa and the world.
We know that growth does not come without challenges. Our journey of transformation is akin to the pains of childbirth. The process is very uncomfortable, sometimes very painful, but we know that joy of what we are bringing to life will far exceed the pains of today.
The highlight of the service was the cutting of the 64th anniversary cake. The message of hope and resilience resonated among the congregation, as many say they are hopeful of better days ahead. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
The governor of Delta State, South Nigeria, Sheriff Oborevori, has urged Nigerians to remain optimistic and not be overwhelmed by the present economic challenges bedeviling the nation. Rather, he urged them to remain positive, noting that tough times don't last, but tough people do by effectively surmounting challenges facing them. Governor Oborevori made the call at an interdenominational Thanksgiving service held on Sunday at the Cathedral Church of St. Peter's, Asaba, to mark the country's 64th independence anniversary. The governor, who paid glowing tributes to the founding fathers of the country, urged Nigerians to remain hopeful and united, adding that a new phase of prosperity, peace, unity and progress would soon envelope the country.
All students, residents in the state refuse to give up. Tough times never last, but tough people do. The situation we are in calls for creativity, innovation, determination, patience and resilience on the part of everybody, whether as a leader, as a governor, or those being governed. These are the qualities we need to stay afloat in the turbulent economy and overcome the challenges facing us. Finally, we should never stop praying for Nigeria. No matter the situation, God commands us as Christians is to pray. We will continue to pray.
The federal government has handed over 64 compressed natural gas buses to representatives of the Trade Union Congress, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the National Association of Nigerian Students. When deployed for commuter service, the buses will significantly reduce transportation costs in the country, bringing hope for a more affordable and efficient public transport system. The handover of the buses took place on Sunday at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, as part of activities marking Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary. Let's go now to politics, where the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance has dismissed the recent suspension of several members of the party by the factional chairman, Edozie Njoku. The national chairman, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, says that the factional chairman is not a member of the party and holds no authority in the party as adjudicated by several court judgments. He urged party faithful to disregard the act, saying it remains null and void.
It is with deep regret that we witnessed the farcical and delusional antics of Chief Edozie Njoku yesterday, as he brazenly and mischievously claimed to have suspended esteemed members of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, including my humble self, Barrister Ifeatu Obi-Okoye, the state chairman of APGA in Anambra State, and Dr. Alex Obiobolu. This purported suspension, issued from a place of sheer imagination rather than any legitimate authority, is not only laughable, but also serves as a clear indication of the length to which Njoku will go to distract from his own inadequacies. Edozie Njoku does not possess the locus to suspend loyal and dedicated members of our party. His actions reflect a desperate attempt to exert control over a party of which he is not even a member. By what right does a stranger seek to suspend the very architects of APGA's success? It is like an intruder attempting to evict homeowners from their own property. Such audacity is not only unfounded, but also offensive to the integrity of our great party. Njoku's recent declarations claiming authority to suspend loyal members of APGA are not only baseless, but also a blatant misrepresentation of reality.
In the meantime, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has said that those antagonizing his administration have continued to express frustration at seeing how firmly the affairs of the state have been conducted and milestones achieved. The governor accused such people of being determined to lay hold on the soul of Rivers State to control it as their personal estate, but insisted that his administration is taking it already, saying the wealth of the state belongs to all Rivers people. Governor Fubara made the assertion on Sunday at the interdenominational church Thanksgiving service organized as part of activities marking the 64th Independence Day anniversary of Nigeria at St. Paul's Cathedral of the Anglican Communion at Garrison Junction in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital.
A few of our decisions might not be favorable, but we have to move on as a family, because at this time, what is important is to protect the soul of the state. It does not belong to anyone. Rivers State is not nobody's enterprise. So you have to stand strong, and we fight. It's not just this celebration today is for a purpose. It coincided with what happened last year. So I assure you of our support to make all the plans come to reality. We will get there. We're already there. God does not start and stop halfway. It takes you to the end. And it's because they have seen the end. That is why some of them will go and call my name. Please, I want every one of you to join hands with us. We have a big task ahead of us. We have taken the soul of our state. We must secure it. We must bring this state back to where it used to be.
Still staying with politics, as the Abia State Independent Electoral Commission prepares to conduct its first local government election under Governor Alex Otti. Residents of the state have taxed the commission on credible process. The commission recently unveiled its timetable for the election scheduled for November 2024. News Central's Chinwe Ogele reports.
The affirmation of the local government autonomy by the Supreme Court on July 11, 2024, and the 3-month moratorium given states by the federal government to have elected executive in the councils may have informed the decision by states to conduct elections. By November 2024, the period of grace will elapse, and any state without elected local government chairman will be denied allocations for the month. Abia State, with the amendment of the tenure of office for elected local government officials, seems poised to escape the big stick, with plans already in motion to conduct elections for the 17 local government areas in the state in November.
I want to tell you that the State Assembly has approved our budget, which means we are free to operate for the successful execution of this election.
The chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission, Professor Judge Chima, says the commission has structured the process from parties' primaries to the declaration of results adequately.
Already, some political parties have notified us of their readiness to perform their primaries. That shows we are ready, and the people are also ready, and the political parties are also complying.
However, the electorate say they expect that the local government election will be a complete departure of the general and off-cycle elections in the country in order to restore their confidence in the power of the polls.
With the help of the government, because we make sure that that bad name that INEC has been, or people has been calling them, will not happen in ABSEC. By making sure that every vote is being counted.
My advice to the electoral body generally is, if they can use this current election that is going on and prove themselves, people can bring back confidence. They can regain people's confidence to the electoral body.
The chairman says every political party participating in the election will be treated fairly and equally.
And we are going to give the people, Abians, an acceptable election which will be judged as free and fair. We will give all the participating political parties a level playing ground.
Usually, governors treat affairs of local governments as personal and exert so much power in this tier of government from the elections, where they make sure their political party wins all the seats. Over the years, the local government elections in the state have been treated by the electorate with apathy, left only for party faithful, and has somehow given rise to the 100% result that actually favored a party in power. Will this time be different? In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ogele.
We'll go on a break now. When we return, former Minister of Communications, Professor Issa Pantami, says despite government's substantial security funding, only a small percentage reaches frontline soldiers. We'll bring you details on that story and more after the break. Stay with us. You're watching news now here on News Central Television. Thanks for staying with us. Let's delve into security matters now. Former Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, has revealed that despite the federal government's substantial security funding, only a small percentage reaches soldiers on the battlefield. Pantami made this known while answering questions on NIN-SIM linkage and factors contributing to insecurity at the Young Professionals Colloquium in Katsina State. According to him, the country's major insecurity setback is not related to intelligence gathering, but rather to the failure to act on the intelligence collected. He explained that the bulk of the federal government security funding remains with top officials and does not reach the soldiers on the front line. In a bid to end the recurring ethnic and religious conflicts across several communities in Nigeria, the United Nations Women's has called for more inclusion of women in peace-building processes of the government. This was during the inauguration of the 1,000 Peace Ambassadors of Nigeria, which took place in Abuja with the theme Bridging the Gap for Humanity and Economic Investment in Nigeria. While several Nigerians who have contributed to peace initiatives were awarded, citizens were tasked to put humanity first, shun discrimination on ethnic and religious grounds, and promote peace among citizens.
Diplomacy is more than the act of negotiation. It is a practice of building relationship, understanding, diverse perspective, and creating sustainable solutions that benefit all parties involved. As peace ambassadors, our mission is to enhance the power of diplomacy, to connect Nigeria with global partners, attract economic investment, and enhance humanitarian efforts. The essence of the mission lies in building strong and sustainable partnership. We must engage with governments, businesses, civil servants, and international communities. With partnership, we will form a mutual respect, share goals, and a commitment to common goals.
I would rather see you as human being first. I don't want to know your country yet. I don't want to see the color of your skin. I don't want to know your tribe. I don't want to know your religion. I just want to see you as human being. Change concerning peace. It starts from myself and yourself. We are not going to push it anywhere. What is causing war all over the world is because as human beings, we are losing peace.
Peace processes that include women as mediators, witnesses, signatories, or negotiators are 20% more likely to last 2 years and 35% more likely to last 15 years. We must therefore maximize the enormous potentials of our women in peace, security, and humanitarian response.
Nigerians have lauded the judgment by the Federal High Court in Ilorin, which sentenced convicted armed robbers involved in the Offa bank robbery 6 years ago on April the 5th, 2018 to be precise. They also urged the nation's justice sector to speed up resolution of cases, saying this will help give victims and families affected closure. Amadine Uyi reports.
The daredevil of a bank robbery suspect arriving at the State High Court in Ilorin, Kwara State. The robbery case, which has spanned 6 years, shocked the quiet town of Offa, following the brazenness and audacity of the suspected robbers. The court was packed full as counsels were keen on the judgment, expected to be passed by Justice Halima Salman of the Kwara State High Court. After the judgment, the trial judge sentenced the 5 remaining suspects to death by hanging, as the last suspect had died in custody.
The judgment is not come by surprise to me. Of course, in line with the evidence that is in court and vis-a-vis the evidence of the prosecutions and what have you, and the evidence before the court, we emphasize that definitely it's going to be like this. And most especially, this matter called for public interest.
6 years, slow but steady, and at the end of the day, His Lordship was able to conclude the trial today, and we all know what we proved and the evidence, the witnesses that testify, the exhibit we tendered, and from the totality of the evidence before the court, it shows clearly that the prosecution proved his case beyond reasonable doubt, and the judge accordingly gave judgment.
While the prosecution counsel commended the judge for a job well done, the defense counsel says the convicts will be appealing the judgment.
His Lordship saw that the prosecution has proved his case beyond reasonable doubt and then convicted them for those 3 major offenses: armed robbery, murder, that is culpable, punishable with death, and unlawful possession of firearm. So those are the 3 basic things. And apart from the conviction, the sentence was also pronounced, and the maximum sentence that the court can pronounce on those 2 capital offenses, the death, they carried death sentence by hanging. So that is the only pronouncement.
In line with the AG Oyo State against Bello, it's an automatic appeal. It's an automatic appeal, and definitely it's going to stay. So I think it's one of those things that Mr. Emerybi have started doing, comparing the record and whatever, so that at least we move to the upstairs.
Some residents of Abuja, however, lauded the judgment despite criticizing the time taken.
In my opinion, it is just. Not just the fact that the crimes they committed were heinous enough, but in our jurisprudence in Nigeria, we still have the sentence, the maximum penalty for crimes like that, for capital punishment as death, you understand. And in my opinion, justice has been served.
It is okay by the judgment, but it has been took long time. What we are supporting is what they call it, and the judiciary system. We need to start fast-tracking cases.
The incident, which occurred on April the 5th, 2018, left about 32 persons dead, including 9 policemen. Many will be hoping that the families of those killed can finally have closure. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Nigerian cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, otherwise known as Bobrisky, has filed a lawsuit against internet activist and influencer Very Darkman, seeking 1 billion naira in damages. The dispute comes after VDM shared a voice tape in which he alleged to be Bobrisky claiming to have paid 15 million naira to EFCC authorities in order to have the money laundering accusation against him dropped. Bobrisky, however, has denied the claims, stating that the voice recordings purportedly implicating him in any wrongdoing were artificially generated using AI technology. Residents of Plateau State are still experiencing very long queues on the streets of Jos, the state capital, for reasons they seem not to understand. The fact that Nigeria is a major producer of crude oil makes it pertinent that citizens should enjoy the dividends of what is obtainable in the country. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe in Jos felt the pulse of some of these residents on the resurgence of the queues and how the development affects their livelihood. Here's our report.
Since the removal of fuel subsidy on May 29, 2023 by President Bola Tinubu, many Nigerians seem not to have found their bearing as to securing their means of livelihood. From the unavailability of petrol to the unaffordability of same products. What many now term as the regulatory high pump prices of petrol in many stations in Jos, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has this to say.
It's a deregulated market. Everybody can fix his own price based on where he gets it and let him make a little margin. So that's why we cannot control, we cannot peg for them. More importantly, those Ipman filling stations. But when you are talking of the NNPC, for sure on this axis is that price I told you earlier. And the major marketers similar to that.
Mohammed Abdusalam disagreed with reports of fuel scarcity.
Why you are seeing those queues is that because people want to buy where it's cheaper. As I tell you now, when you go to the Ipman stations, those independent marketers, you hardly see plenty cars, very few, scanty, no queues. In fact, most of the times you go there, you see even the pump attendants are just resting. But people want to take it where it's sold $8.97 mainly. And it is when the crowd is much there, then they tilt to the major marketers. So that is why you are saying the influx of queues on the major marketers and the retail.
For many, it has been a very difficult year, while for some others, it becomes worse as the hike in pump prices of this same commodity has brought untold hardship on them.
Because of the fuel price, things are actually expensive. Food, clothing, think of it, just everything. So cost of living now is high, and then there's no money in circulation.
Honestly speaking, it's very difficult because I normally pay 200 naira before to my place of work, and now I have to pay 500 naira to reach, or even more. So it's very, very difficult.
Small business owners have their own stories to tell.
We're just working to keep our customers. So we need to, we have to buy the fuel like that. And end of the day, we don't see any profit in it.
The fuel is very expensive and the rate of light itself is something else. If you go buy fuel itself, they're not going to even sell it for you for jerry can. That is another thing. You will use it. After you use it now, you will not check and see that you don't even get anything from it. The profit that you're expecting, you will not get.
As this fuel price continues to soar, taking its toll on the masses, stakeholders have been called upon to do everything possible to ensure that this hardship is brought to an end even sooner than later. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
And now to health matters. The Kano State Governor, Abba Yusuf, on Sunday restated the state's government's commitment to end polio and other childhood communicable diseases as it collaborates with partners to target 3.6 million children in the state. He made the pledge in Kano while unveiling the 2024 polio eradication campaign in Dawaki Kudu local government of the state. Following the state government's determination to intensify vaccination efforts, it disclosed that the government would collaborate with local communities to reach out to every part of the state to ensure that all children are vaccinated. He adds that the state government would continue to ensure vigilance to also ensure routine immunization among children in order to give them the necessary protection. Coming up next here on News Now, manhunt after 18 people killed in South Africa mass shooting. We'll tell you more about this story. Join us again after the break. Welcome back. The news continues in Southern Africa. On Saturday, South Africa woke up to the devastating news of a mass shooting that happened in Lusikisiki in Eastern Cape that almost wiped out the entire family. The incident claimed the lives of 17 family members and friends at Ngobozana village. Two homesteads on the same street in the town of Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape were targeted, with 12 women and 1 man killed in one location, and 3 women and 1 man at a second location. The 18th victim died in hospital on Sunday. According to the South Africa Police Services, the motive for the shooting is still unknown and a manhunt is underway for those responsible for the killings, according to National Police spokesperson Brigadier Athlenda Marty. The president of the General Industries Workers Union of South Africa, Giwusa Mamantwe Sibei, joins me this very morning to shed more light on the sad incident that indeed took place in South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Gauteng. What was your first thought when you heard about the Eastern Cape mass killings and your insight into what could have led to the mass shooting that took the lives of 18 family members over the weekend?
Joe, I was absolutely shocked. We are obviously very sad over this very terrible and indeed a tragic killing of the entire family, basically, right? Because I mean, what remains of the few survivors really is just nothing that would really be able to rebuild the family in any immediate term and so on. And I think this horrific murder, mass murder, which is the only way you can really characterize it, I mean, it sent shockwave across the country. And I think people are even more shocked by the fact that government hasn't really reacted. Now, obviously, this must be a domestic-related violence. And the reason is that these families were gathered for a ceremony to mourn two people apparently who were killed last year in the same family. And I'm not so sure about the circumstances, but it seems to have been appeared to be, in the same manner and so on. Now, I mean, that you could have a murder of the same family taking place last year. People are not being apprehended, as I think it's obvious in this case. And these people are gathering to try to mourn and to move on. And they're faced with the same tragedy, far worse than that. I think for me, it's just shocking, beyond belief. Over and above that, it's just tragic and sad.
All right. Are there known patterns or trends in mass shootings in South Africa that could shed light on the possible motives behind this incident, especially with this one that we're seeing here? 18 family members.
I think, look, insofar as mass murders is concerned, one thing is certain, they are on the rise. In actual fact, a few years ago, this would have been a phenomenon completely unknown in South Africa, but we have had several incidents of mass shootings that I think, in the past few years, and I think on that basis, I can certainly say that they are on the rise. But I also think that it's important to make a point that this murder obviously took place against a background of an extremely violent society. And I think just to put that into perspective, right? Last year, or a year to this year, we have recorded in 12 months period, 27,000 murders in this country, right? 27,000 cases of homicides, which translate into 45 people murdered for every 100,000. Now, again, just to put that into context, US, which is one of the most violent Western countries, if you like, has a murder rate of 6.4 per 100,000 people. On average, European countries have a murder rate of 1,100,000 for every person that, 1.1 per 100,000 people are being murdered. So it therefore means that South Africa actually has 45 times more than what you encounter as a rate of homicide in Europe, for instance. In actual fact, by these statistics, 70 people are murdered every day in this country. And I think the domestic violence is a major feature of that, right? And last statistics that I checked, they were putting the question of, 50, that basically thousands and thousands of women that are killed in cases of domestic violence, in fact, are killed by their, intimate partner. But besides just that, the domestic violence is very much part of an extremely elevated levels of violent crimes in this country. And I think that is alarming, but also that speaks to an elite and government that is simply incapable of responding to implosion of society, as well as the crisis, including the crisis of violent crimes in this country that put us on par with countries officially at war. In actual fact, we had recorded far more incidents of homicides in the past few years than they were recorded in Ukraine, for instance.
Wow. Anyway, in your opinion, how does this incident reflect broader issues of crime and violence in South Africa? That's one. On the other hand, what role do socioeconomic factors play in escalating violent crime rates, as we've seen?
And I think I've already outlined the statistics in terms of, just the sheer scale of violence, which really has created the state of war. And somebody, especially in Nigeria like yourself, will be able to appreciate looking at it from outside, because a lot of South Africans this is a normal daily reality of a very brutal life that we are leading here. And I think it has kind of become normalized and people don't reflect on that. But I think insofar as what are the factors that are driving it, we are living in the most unequal society in the world. So that should not come as a shock, right? I mean, because what does it mean? It means for many families, you have a cost of living crisis where people are having to buy food that are priced on the basis of certain or people living in certain income brackets which are not reflective of the reality of 12 million people that are unemployed in this country. And of course, over 50.5% that are living in poverty in the most industrialized country in the entire continent, which is a host to the most richest people across the whole African continent. And I think the layer of the middle class, particularly the white middle class, that is living on the standards far surpassing those of Europe and many advanced capitalist societies and so on. It is those vast inequalities that are a major factor alongside just sheer scale of the poverty, particularly of the black working class, that is responsible for this, as well as, of course, a collapse in public services, including, obviously, the state of policing that is not only failing to manage the crisis. In actual fact, the situation is getting worse and worse. I mean, the last time it was said that the prosecution rate of the people that are murdered, right, has declined so much that only about 12% of the murders are successfully prosecuted in this country. And that number keeps going down. So there is a sense of impunity amongst criminals. And of course, they are on a rampage. And the sense that there is not going to be any accountability is fueling all of that.
All right. I want to say thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been quite insightful. Thank you, Mametwe Sebe, for being here on News Now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
In East Africa now, the health ministry in Rwanda has confirmed the death of 6 people from an outbreak of Marburg virus, a highly infectious hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola. The highly virulent microbe causes severe fever, often accompanied by bleeding and organ failure. According to Health Minister Sabine Nsanzimana, some 20 patients were being treated for the illness. According to him, those infected and the deceased were mainly health workers, adding that efforts were underway to trace and test those who had come in contact with them.
We confirmed the Marburg virus disease, the first case in Rwanda, which actually opened testing for other suspect cases that were confirmed after hours testing using PCR technology within our lab. So far, we've confirmed 20 cases and 6 deaths. So far, we have activated all our response mechanisms.
Thousands of people protested in cities across Pakistan after the Iran-backed group Hezbollah confirmed that its longtime chief had been killed by an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon. Around 4,000 people gathered in the Pakistan capital Islamabad and 3,000 in the southern port city of Karachi during rallies and funeral prayers for Hassan Nasrallah, led by Shiite Muslim groups. Hezbollah said on Saturday Hassan Nasrallah was killed in a strike on Beirut's southern suburbs a day earlier, dealing a massive blow to the group he had led for decades.
और हम ये बताना चाहते हैं कि एक नसरुल्लाह के जाने से कुछ नहीं होगा। हम सब नसरुल्लाह हैं, हम सब नसरुल्लाह की आवाज़ हैं और हम सब हसन नसरुल्लाह का पैगाम हैं। जो परचम उसने हमें दिया है हमने उठाया। यही वजह है कि आज शिया सुन्नी सब मिलकर रोडों पर आए हैं और हम पुरअमन हैं। हमारे साथ ख़वातीन हैं, बच्चे हैं, बुजुर्ग हैं, उलमा हैं। बस इस बिना पर लाजिम व ज़रूरी है कि हम इस आवाज़ एहतजाज को बुलंद करें और उन उन अफराद तक पहुँचाएँ कि जो इस जुल्म के बानी हैं, यानी अमेरिका जो उम्मुल खबाइस है, जो तमाम बुराइयों, फसाद और मुनकरात का महवर और मरकज़ और जड़ है।
Let's also tell you that the World Bank has approved 3 new loan requests totaling $1.57 billion in financing for Nigeria. According to a statement released on Monday, the approval is to support the federal government in strengthening human capital through better health for women, children and adolescents. It added that the approved project would also help build resilience to the effect of climate change, such as floods and drought, through improving dams, safety and irrigation. The international lender stated that this new financing includes $500 million for addressing governance issues that constrain the delivery of education and health, $570 million for the primary healthcare provision strengthening program, and $500 million for the sustainable power and irrigation for Nigeria project. American University, Cairo emerged as the overall winner of the 11th Africa University Games co-hosted by the University of Lagos, UNILAG, and Lagos State University, LASU. They secured 46 gold, 28 silver, and 8 bronze medals. LASU came second with 28 gold, 30 silver, and 26 bronze, while UNILAG placed third with 25 gold, 23 silver, and 40 bronze medals. At the closing ceremony, UNILAG Vice-Chancellor Professor Folashade Ogunshola praised the successful event and also commended both universities for upgrading their sports facilities. LASU Vice-Chancellor Professor Ibiemi Olatunji Bello emphasized how the Games promoted African unity. FASU and NUGA officials lauded the universities for their excellent hosting and facilities. Well, the ceremony featured cultural displays, music, and handover of the hosting flag to American University, Cairo. Well, let's also quickly tell you that match day 4 of the 2024-2025 Nigeria Premier Football League, NPFL, delivered thrilling results across 10 venues. Remo Stars maintained their perfect start with a 2-1 victory over Rangers International at Ikene, thanks to goals from Alex Oyowa and Tochukwu Michael, despite Kenechukwu Agu's penalty equalizer. In Port Harcourt, Rivers United triumphed 2-0 over Yimba FC with goals from Ubong Friday and Seifa Jackson. Lobby Stars suffered a 3-0 loss to Katsina United, continuing their poor form. Niger Tornadoes, down to 10 men early, held Bendel Insurance to a 1-1 draw. Abia Warriors defeated Kano Pillars 2-0, while El Kanemi Warriors staged a comeback from 2 goals down to draw with Plateau United. And that's all the news we have for you this hour. But before we go, a quick look at some of the major stories. Organisers have insisted no going back on October 1st hunger protests. World Bank has okayed $1.57 billion loan for Nigeria. And we also told you that a manhunt has begun after 18 people were killed in South Africa's mass shooting. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and you can also stream live on YouTube and also on Facebook. I'm Joe Hanson. Many thanks for watching. The ladies will be here with Jasiri at 10 a.m. West African time. Good morning.